Welcome to Quick Speak, the English podcast. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something really interesting you might have seen online, VTubing.
That's right. It's a big digital trend that's popped up, and we've got some notes and research here to help us understand it better.
Exactly. We're going to unpack what VTubing is, where it came from, why it's so popular, and maybe where it's going.
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot to it. More than just cartoon characters online. It touches on technology, culture, even psychology.
Okay, so let's start right there. What exactly is VTubing in simple terms?
Well, basically, it's when a content creator, like someone who streams games or talks on video, uses an animated character instead of showing their real face or body.
An avatar, right? Like a digital character.
Precisely. A virtual avatar. But it's not just a static picture.
So how does that work? How does a character move like a person?
That's the tech part. It uses something called motion capture. This tech watches the creator's movements, maybe their face, their head, sometimes their whole body, and it makes the avatar copy those movements in real time. So if the creator smiles, the avatar smiles. If they wave, the avatar waves.
Got it. So it looks like the character is really talking and reacting. Why do people choose to do this, though? What's the appeal?
Material points to a couple big reasons. One is having complete control over how you look online.
How so?
Well, you can design your avatar to be anything, different gender, different species, completely fantastical. It gives creators a lot of, creative freedom to express themselves differently.
I can see that, being able to craft your own look. What else?
The other major factor is anonymity or privacy.
Keeping yourself safe online.
Exactly. Using an avatar means you don't have to show your real face. This can protect creators from, unwanted attention or harassment, which is sadly quite common online. It lets them share their personality without sharing their physical identity.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like a safety shield. Okay, so where did VTubing come from? Did it start recently?
Relatively recently, yeah. The sources say it really took off in Japan first. Maybe around 5 or 6 years ago, it started getting popular there.
Japan, okay. Was there a specific audience it aimed for?
Initially, yeah. It was very popular with what's called the otaku audience. People who are really passionate about Japanese anime, manga, and video games.
Ah, so the art style often seen in VTubers connects back to that.
That's right. And there was a key early figure, Kizuna AI. She's often mentioned as one of the very first big VTubers.
Kizuna AI. Was she successful?
Hugely successful. Gained, I think the note said, over 3 million subscribers quite quickly.
Yeah.
She really showed that this format could work and reach a lot of people.
Wow, 3 million. That's massive for something new. But it didn't immediately become big everywhere else, did it? Like in the West?
No, not right away. For a few years, it was more of a niche thing outside Japan, something people interested in that culture might know, but not mainstream.
So what changed? When did it start getting more attention here?
It seems like late 2020 was a turning point. This was, during the pandemic when lots of people were online more.
Okay, and what happened then?
Well, some already popular streamers, people in the West with big audiences, started experimenting with using avatars themselves.
Ah, so established creators trying it out.
Exactly. When viewers saw streamers they already followed using this tech, it sort of introduced the idea to a much wider audience, made it seem less strange maybe, more like a fun new tool for streaming.
That makes sense, kind of bridging the gap. Now, you mentioned Japan and the West. The material suggests there's a difference in how VTubing developed in those places.
Yeah, there's a pretty interesting cultural split described. In Japan, it often works more like a traditional entertainment business.
What do you mean by that? Like companies are involved?
Yes, exactly. You have companies almost like talent agencies or animation studios. They actually create the VTuber characters, design them, give them backstory.
And then hire someone to perform as them.
Right. They hire voice actors or performers. These VTubers are often treated like big investments, like creating a virtual celebrity or influencer for promotions and things like that.
So it's quite organized, like managing a pop group, but virtual.
In many cases, yes. The notes mention Hulluf Production, run by Cover Corp, as a big example. Their VTubers do concerts, release music, sell merchandise. It's a big business.
Okay, very structured. How does that compare to how it mostly works in the West?
The Western approach, based on this material, tends to be more independent, more grassroots.
So individual people deciding to use an avatar.
Usually, yes. It's often someone who's already streaming, maybe playing games or just chatting, and they decide to switch to using an avatar for their channel.
So the content is similar to regular streamers gaming, talking to the audience.
Pretty much. And because it's often individuals building their own channels this way,
Mm.
it seems to create a slightly different vibe, maybe more community-focused, more direct interaction between the creator and their viewers.
And that builds strong connections, right? I think the term is parasocial relationships.
That's the one. It's that feeling viewers get, like they have a real friendship or connection with the creator, even though they don't know them personally. And yeah, this independent style with creators talking directly to chat seems to encourage that feeling.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating for me. The psychology. Why do people watch VTubers? What's the draw, according to the research?
Well, the sources connect it back to some very basic human needs. Things like wanting connection with others, wanting companionship, feeling like you belong somewhere,
Needs that maybe aren't always met easily offline.
perhaps. Especially in our very digital world, and the notes mention that for some people, maybe young adults facing social isolation, online communities become really important for finding that connection.
And VTubing offers a particular kind of space for that.
It seems so. It's often described as a safe and inclusive space. The fact that the creator is using an avatar, and viewers are often anonymous too, can make it feel less pressured.
Easier to join in without feeling judged.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
You can hang out, chat, be part of something without the usual anxieties of social situations, maybe worries about appearance. It lowers the barrier for interacting.
The material mentioned young men finding this space welcoming.
Yes, that was noted as one group finding connection there. It's presented as a low-pressure place to connect with others who share interests, like games or anime, or just enjoying the VTuber's personality.
And it's not just about watching passively, is it? The community part sounds crucial.
Oh, absolutely. Viewers get really involved. They create things together like inside jokes, memes, fan art, stories about the characters. It turns watching into actively participating in a shared culture.
So you feel like you're part of that community.
Exactly. Part of something
Okay.
bigger, which, directly challenges the idea that this is just lonely people escaping reality.
Right, that old criticism of online stuff.
Yeah, but the research mentioned here actually suggests it can be a positive thing, a healthy outlet. People report feeling happier, less lonely after watching or interacting. So more like finding connection than just escaping.
That's a really important perspective, finding social connection in a way that feels comfortable. Okay, let's talk about size. How big has this VTubing world become? The growth sounds huge.
It really is. The numbers are impressive. The data suggests there are now over 49,600 active VTubers streaming. So almost 50,000 people doing this.
Wow, nearly 50,000. And it's not just a hobby, right? There's real business here.
Definitely. Big business for some. The notes mention CoverCorp again, the company behind Hololive. They're pointed to as part of that this is economically viable. It makes money.
How much money are we talking?
Well, one figure mentioned was for the first quarter of 2024, CoverCorp apparently brought in about 1.8 million US dollars in revenue.
$1.8 million in just 3 months.
Yeah.
For one company.
Yeah. It shows there's significant money flowing in the sector. And it's not just from people donating during streams.
What else brings in money?
Merchandise is a huge one. The material gives an example. A line of Holive plush toys, like stuffed animals.
Okay.
In 2023, they apparently sold around 93,400 of just that one type of plushie, and they cost about $24 each.
Let me think. 93,000 times 24. That's over $2 million just from one type of toy.
Exactly. It shows how diverse the income is. You have stream donations, channel subscriptions, yes, but also massive merchandise sales, deals with companies, virtual concerts, sponsorships. It's a whole business model.
A sustainable business, it sounds like. And it's spread beyond Japan now.
Oh yes, completely global.
Yeah.
VTubers stream in English, Indonesian, Spanish, many languages besides Japanese. People like Zilver K are mentioned as having lots of followers internationally, building on the groundwork laid by pioneers like Kazuna AI.
Amazing growth. Let's circle back to the technology for a moment. Has VTubing itself pushed technology forward?
It seems like it has. The demand for better ways to animate these avatars in real time, making them more expressive and realistic, that pushes developers to improve motion capture and animation software.
And is this tech getting easier for regular people to use, not just big companies?
That's a really key point in the notes. Yes, it's becoming much more accessible. There are platforms and apps now, Reality is mentioned as one example,
Okay.
where you apparently need very little to start, like maybe just a recent iPhone. The notes say an iPhone 10 could be enough to get streaming as a VTuber on that platform.
Wow, so you don't need a fancy studio or expensive equipment anymore.
Not necessarily to get started, no. This lowering of the barrier means more people can try it out, experiment, bring new ideas. It helps the whole scene grow.
And has this growth created like new kinds of jobs?
Absolutely.
Oh,
A whole little industry has sprung up around it. You need artists to design the characters, 3D modelers to build the avatars on the computer, people called riggers who set up the avatar so it can move correctly with the motion capture, and programmers developing the software tools. So yes, it's created a whole ecosystem of jobs supporting the creators.
stepping back to look at the big picture then, what does VTubing signal about, the future of being online?
It feels like a strong sign that how we think about identity online is changing, becoming more fluid. People are getting more comfortable using customized virtual bodies, not just profile pictures, to represent themselves.
And with things like virtual reality and augmented reality getting better.
Exactly. The sources suggest VTubing is kind of a preview. As VR and AR develop, the line between our physical selves and our digital selves might blur even more. VTubing shows us one way people might interact in those more immersive future spaces.
That brings up a question from the material. Authenticity. If you're using an avatar, is it less real? Does the audience mind?
It's a good question, but the feeling from the sources is, no, not really. Audiences seem to connect with the personality, the creativity, the streamer's interaction, the
Other than
community.
the physical appearance.
It seems so. Authenticity in this space might be more about being true to the persona you've created, interacting genuinely as that character rather than showing your physical self. The connection feels real to viewers.
And it's clearly not just a fad that came and went with the pandemic lockdowns.
No, the sources emphasize its continued growth. It started before, got a boost, but has kept growing steadily since. It seems to have real staying power.
So looking forward, what kind of lasting impact could VTubing have?
Well, the material speculates it could influence much broader areas. Entertainment, ideas about celebrity and performance, maybe even marketing, and how we attend virtual events. As the tech gets better and more common, it could really reshape parts of our digital lives.
So wrapping up our deep dive today, it's clear VTubing is much more than just anime avatars playing games.
Definitely. It's gone from a niche subculture to this global thing touching on tech, business, psychology. It's a really creative way people are adapting to digital life, finding new ways to express themselves and connect with others.
It certainly gives you a lot to think about regarding how we present ourselves and connect online.
It really does. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How will our relationship with these digital identities keep changing? And what will that mean for how we all connect in the future?
Absolutely. Well, that's all we have time for in this deep dive. We hope this discussion was helpful for understanding VTubing and maybe practicing your English listening.
Don't forget to subscribe to QuickSpeed for more discussions.
And please visit our website. You'll find the link in the description. We'll have more learning materials there, like vocabulary lists and maybe some exercises based on today's topic. Thanks for listening.